Hello, and a very warm welcome to the old shop, where you'll be very surprised probably to see me after only about a week or so after the last video, which I did on May's Eve. But so much has happened, May related, in the last few days or the last week. And hello, a very warm welcome to the old shop, where you'll probably be quite surprised to see me quite so soon after the last video because, well, if you know this channel, you know it's not usually quite so frequent as that. But there's been so much going on, May related, in the last week that I didn't really want to let it get any further from the time it happened because it's very seasonal. It's a beautiful time of year, and there's been all sorts of things going on with Morris dancing and mummers play and maypole dancing and folk carol singing, maid carols, all sorts of things really, and also special ritual things like fires on the beach in the dark, which you'll see a little sort of glimpse of as well. Also, the Alder carr is completely dried up at the moment, which is highly unusual, and I went and explored over there. So I showed a little bit of my explorations, and bluebells that are over there as well, which are beautiful, really lovely. And also in the garden, I've got this little kind of dream of doing a lot more outdoor cooking, which I've had for a while. And then I was inspired. Well, I've been inspired several years ago now by Colette at Bale's in the cottage with her Kelly kettle, which I have one, which has been waiting for the right moment. And then I was watching The Wagon Witch, another of my favourite channels. I'll put both of their names down in the description box afterwards. So I've just had this real kind of yes, let's just do it. And with the Kelly kettle, you can also with the fire afterwards, you can cook over that. Got various options actually for outdoor cooking. So there's a little area of the garden which you'll see if you watch on in the video. That's just very beginnings of sorting things out to do a lot more outdoor stuff. So I think that's about it. So just welcome again, and I hope you're enjoying the season.
Alarm didn't go off. There's no purposeful waiting for everything. And a whole host of other people. So, gather, without further ado, the Thameside Mummers!
We're offering jolly, that's all in one mind. We'll come a place again, and we hope you'll prove kind. And we hope you'll prove kind with your eggs and strong beer. And come Linnet or Nelson you'll see, with a bunch of little ones like down to his feet. His a star on his chest, like diamonds doth shine. Karma pacing is pacing in time. She goes all in flags. She's gold and she's silver, she's copper in store. She's come along with us and hopes to get more.
In comes I, old Molly Masket. Under me arm I carries me basket. In me basket I carries me eggs. Who likes eggs? He likes eggs. Here you go, sir. Have an egg.
Last orders!
Last orders? What is size?
Large! It's only a flesh wound.
Greenwood we will go, to the greenwood we will go.
I came outside to show you a part of the garden we haven't actually looked at before, with good reason, as you'll probably see in a minute. But on the way, I got distracted by aquilegias, and that's actually a very easy thing to happen, especially in my book, because I just love them. They're some of my very favourite flowers, and I don't think we actually really looked at them in detail in the last video, although I might be wrong. But you know, any excuse. So I thought we'll have a quick look at the ones that are out at the moment, because they really do their own thing, and every year I think the same clumps do come back. They are perennial, I think, but at the same time you always get some new ones as well, because they hybridize with each other. and you get all sorts of different shades and varieties, and some of them are single like these, very simple shapes with long petals, and you get very frilly ones. The colours vary a lot. I love these wishy-washy kind of ones, like these very pale pinks with a bit of green on them. They are my favourite, but these are particularly unusual, I think. There seem to be several kind of really similar shades on the same plant. I really like this one. I don't think there's been one quite like this before. Well, this is a really dark one. I don't always like the darkest ones as much as those kind of ethereal ones, but it's really interesting, this one, because it's so double. You can see how different the shape is, and with the petals being much more stubby, I suppose the word is. And it is a really beautiful dark purple, and I don't know why I say I don't like it as much, because I wear, so my jumper I happen to be wearing, I do wear quite a lot of purple. This is another quite frilly one, only it is in more kind of more mid pink, I suppose, colours, and it's got a little bit of green on it. Don't know if you can see in the younger flowers, which I really like. And there are a few of these kind of, I think these are the more classic cultivated kinds that you can buy, although this has just happened by itself. They're often two colours like this. This is a sort of white and pink ones, but if you look, the edges of those petals are green, which, yeah, I think that's a lovely colour combination. Well, I've been looking around the garden. I don't actually think there are quite so many this year, which is a bit sad, but also some of them haven't come out yet. But I just thought I'd show you this one, because this is just sort of growing a bit wild, not even in earth really, but just in a bit of gravel by the oil tank in a rather an unsalubrious part of the garden. But it's a really lovely colour. It's not like any of the others. It's a kind of ruby red colour. Just shows how tough they are, because it's not really growing in any earth. It's just kind of coming out of the gravel with some brambles and dandelions and other plants that will find their way no matter what. So if you remember this new grassy area, what we never look at is what happens on the other side of this bed, which I used to call the herb bed, but it's become a bit of an everything bed. I thought we'd have a look round there today. It is, well, I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear, it is an area that wants a lot of sorting out, but the start has been made, and so I thought I'd show you just at the beginning. So as it hopefully the vision and the idea will be developing in the next little while, and so you'll have seen it here first. But meanwhile, who would have thought that it was that this garden was struggling as in any shape or form, when you see the vibrancy of this, what was a little herb bed and now has been taken over by all sorts of things. But I'll just explain this a little bit, because I did have herbs, and there still are some herbs on the other side. There's rosemary, I'm sure I've shown you before, and there are some other herbs as well. Angelica, which has totally taken over everywhere, big mistake. And there are 2 or 3 fruit trees which I put down the middle of the bed. I probably not wasn't really space for them, but you know, I thought that would be a nice thing to do, so I did do it. There's an apple tree, and I think there's a plum tree. Can't actually remember what they are. It looks like an apple tree. There are about 3, I think. And then along this edge, which I don't know if you can even see the edge, but I might better show you the edge. Uh, no, I probably can't show you the edge. But there was an edge to the bed because it had been where the old shed was, as I'm going to be explaining in a moment. And I planted some little tiny, as usual, little tiny plants at intervals along the edge, which I thought when they grow up a little bit, I'll trim them to make a hedge. Well, the trimming never happened. Everything else grew through them. But what these plants were dogwood, which these are some of the dogwoods every so often. Sort of really happy. Rugosa roses, which are also used in hedging, which are also looking amazingly happy all of a sudden after about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years I put them in, and they didn't really do anything for ages. So they were mostly those, and I also put some blackthorn in, so little sloe bushes, and that's one of them. This must be another one. I can't believe what they've done. They've just suddenly taken off. I would never have imagined they would do that. And this is what the last of the dogwoods. They're all flowering. I mean, literally, I honestly didn't think they were going to survive. And far from it, they've formed a complete jungle, and they're not a little hedge at all. So this is where we get really real. Really real. Not that we're not always really real. on this channel, but you'll see an area of the garden which has needed sorting out for a really long time, and it still isn't, but the ideas are now sort of in place. So what it was here was a shed, and it was a beautiful shed, if I say it myself, as had it knocked down. It was a wooden shed, painted really old. Inside it had an old ladder, beautiful old ladder, an old carpenter's workbench, and old shelves all cobbled together. It was really falling down, unfortunately, and everything was really rotted, but it was one of those things that is so hard to get rid of. But there was no access through to the back garden, and at the time, I mean, was it a good idea? Don't know. But at the time, I decided to have the whole garden bulldozed, and there was no way to get the little mini digger in other than through here. So down came the shed, and there was a whole range of sheds, so it wasn't actually needed as a shed, and it let in lots of water. But it left a concrete area pad, which is down here, which is where the shed stood. And but what it also left was lots of sunshine, because this wall, you now can see the wall, because the wall was inside the shed, and it's actually a really sunny wall, south facing wall, so loads of potential. But for a long time it just had paving slabs stood up against it, and old pots and so on, and it still does to a certain extent, and weeds. Not to put too fine a point on it. So that's how it was for a long time. Then we took the paving slabs which had been piled up and started to put them down over where the grass is now. That wasn't very successful. Put them back down here just loose, and they're really wobbly. So now the plan now is to take them up again and stack them up again and just have the concrete, but also to have a little area for an outside kitchen. So that's a bit of background, and actually last night I should have been videoing really, but we had not only the Kelly kettle cooking, not cooking, boiling water, which I should be showing you in another episode, because I was inspired to get the Kelly. I've had a Kelly kettle for a while, inspired by Colette at Belton the cottage, and then I saw another newly favourites channel of mine, the Wagon Witch. She was using a Kelly kettle, and I thought, oh, this is silly, it's just sitting there. I've not been experimenting with this at all, so out it came. We had a fire in here, and also got the Kelly kettle going, and cooked over the residue of that as well, grilled some rather stale hot cross buns. But just why I came out here to show you this now, really, because there's not a lot to see at the moment, was because when I left the fire, but in it I've left this foil with, and embers on it, with some sweet potatoes, thinking they'll hopefully cook just in the residue. And I just opened it up to have a look, and they have. So they're soft sweet potatoes, they're cooked. Obviously the outsides aren't very appetising, but I think if I peel those outsides away and chop them, they'll be a really nice cooked for free sweet potatoes with a lovely wood-fired taste to them. So that was definitely worth doing. I used to do that when I was first here and had some big fires in the garden where the trees now are, to burn up lots of, well, there's lots of rubbish and stuff I needed to burn. I would always try and remember to put things like sweet potatoes or potatoes, and even sausages, vegan sausages once or twice, into the embers, and just to, to use that residual heat. So this has really worked. I just did two. I'll take them in and get the skins off those. I can smell a beautiful wood smoke smell. I know it's a question of taste whether you like that smell and taste, but I love it. It just sort of tastes and smells of the wild, which can't be bad. They may not look very much, and there isn't a very great quantity, but they do smell really, really good, the sweet potatoes, and they'd be really nice with a bit of olive oil, a bit of salt and pepper, or put them into another dish, which is what I'm very likely to be doing with them. And as well, I just think the colour is so pretty with the blue china, or the blue pottery, I should say. I wanted to show you. Not that that was intentional, I just found a small dish that they would fit into and see what I'd got here. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. They've cooked beautifully, and there's a lovely campfire smell all around them. The Alder car just along the lane is always a magical place, but usually it's completely like a surface of a mirror with water at all times of the year. Sometimes a lot, sometimes not so much. Last year at this time, there were ducks swimming around in it. And in the winter, of course, it gets frozen and becomes a beautiful ice palace for fairies. And I love it down there then as well with all the reflections. But at the moment it's completely dry, which is so strange. And I knew this, so I thought you might like to come and see as well because it won't last. So I also knew that there are lots of bluebells down there. So that's another good reason to go and have a look together. So I walked over the heath and walked down the lane and came to the where the bluebells begin. That little stream you just saw isn't really a stream, it's more of a kind of drainage channel, but I call it the stream. And I did see otters there 3 times, so I call it the otter stream. And I walked into the Alder car, which, if you've ever seen it full of water, you'll realise what a strange feeling that was to be able to walk where normally you can't access at all. So you have the alder trees as like little islands, and in the distance, and I was actually walking up to them and touching them. One thing I was noticing a lot was the very deep, because it was very soft ground, footprints of red deer, really large hoof prints. So I knew it was the red deer. And if you looked really closely, you could see how they were cloven. The actual shapes of them were these double shapes. And if you look here, you can see how I was following the tracks. I couldn't follow them everywhere because they went disappeared into the undergrowth, but quite a few times I was actually in the same trail as the red deer, which was lovely. All the fairy routes with all the little houses and little crevices at the bottom, which again often completely submerged in water or at least partly submerged, and they're all high and dry. It's a really strange thing, but it was a really good opportunity to go and have a closer look and to show you because we might not get this chance again. So I came back out again and I was marvelling at the beautiful unfurling bracken and again at the bluebells as I walked back towards the lane, back through the bluebells. You can see there are birch trees on both sides, on like lining the little stream really. And then inside the woodland there's alders mostly, but there's a few willows and a few oaks as well. I'm making my way back. I did keep stopping because I kept hearing buzzing noises and stopping to watch bees going about their pollinating, which is lovely to see. This big fat bumblebee attracted my attention for some time before he or she flew off. I don't know, maybe somebody else knows about the life cycle of bumblebees, whether it's the male or female that gathers pollen or perhaps both of them. Anyway, I came out up onto the lane and made my way back to the old shop.